Live from Frog City Studios, it is Glorious Nightmares, the horror podcast with me, Cameron Rice, and Adam Lavick. We are going to be talking about the state of horror. We're going to be talking about Sinners. We're going to be talking about Final Destination Bloodlines. I almost said 6, which eventually I will probably just straight up be calling it.
That's fine.
Maybe a little bit of Last of Us talk. And what we can see for the rest of the summer. The summer season's about to start kicking off. I guess it's already kind of kicked off.
It has.
But what horror we think we're going to see? Not much in theaters, actually. I just looked. It's only like 1 or 2 things. But
really?
We will...
I guess we're holding on to everything until fall?
Yeah, I'd probably. Yeah. But let's jump into it. Let's talk about Sinners, the movie everyone's talking about. Rightfully so. I think Ryan Coogler's Sinners... presented in so many different ways, as Adam knows, because he made an infographic and then it got shared by so many people, including Michael B. Jordan. Yeah,
to the point that when we went to go see Final Destination Bloodlines, we ran into someone who works at, I guess they work in the marketing department of IMAX, and they were like, "You look familiar." And I was like, "You saw my Sinners graphic, didn't you?" And they were like, "Yeah." Sorry, not sorry.
So how many times have you seen Sinners now?
Oh God. I think 4 times.
4 times.
Yeah. 3 of those times were in IMAX 70 millimeter.
Okay.
Once on digital IMAX.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I've only seen it twice. I went to the Vista, and then by the time, which was great. If you're in LA, Vista Theater, high recommend. Really, such a fun experience. Went Monday afternoon, middle of the day.
Was it crowded?
You know what? It was, there was a good crowd, but it was a lot of older people, but they were older people who were into it.
They
were feeling the movie.
Yeah.
And then I've seen it a second time. Sadly did not get to see it in IMAX because
bummer.
Thunderbolts came in,
gave
it a little nudge, nudge out.
Yeah.
But I did get to see it on the Liamax over at the AMC Burbank. But seeing it twice. It's great.
Oh, but you did see Sinners in IMAX, but it was Limax.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Well, at least you saw it at Burbank 16, which it's a laser projector, so at least it's really nice quality.
True.
Because I saw it on the laser Limax projector too, and my girlfriend was going, "This looks incredible. This looks amazing."
You're like, "Shut up!"
And I'm like, "Stop talking. What are you doing?
You're being so rude right now." You have a bigger fit that. People are pulling out their phones to film you. Man yells at girlfriend during Sinners.
You know the funny thing about that is, though, I know how much of a terrible influence I am on her, because we got out of that screening and she goes, "That looked really, really good." And I was like, "Well, I bought tickets for IMAX 70 millimeter. Do you want to go see an IMAX 70 millimeter?" Which she is not the type of person that wants to watch the same movie in the same week.
Yeah.
She was like, "Let me think about it." We got home. I think I do want to go see it again in 70 millimeter. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
My movie influence on my girlfriend is she also now notices when people are irritating in the movie theater.
Yeah, same. And I'm like, good. I'm not the only one. Theater etiquette is in the toilet.
No, thankfully, Sinners had no issues.
Yeah, the same for us for both showings.
No issues in Sinners or Thunderbolts. It was actually, we went and saw The Wedding Banquet, which I know there's a horror podcast, but I recommend on the rom-com front.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me.
Very, very good. But some people are just... I don't give a shit.
No. I'm like, why are you checking your Instagram in the middle of this bloodthirsty horror scene?
Oh, man.
What are you doing?
But yeah, loved Sinners. Absolutely loved Sinners. Already a big Coogler fan. I mean, debatably, what's his weakest film? Is it Wakanda Forever?
Probably.
And that's only just due to circumstances completely out of his control.
Yeah.
You have to completely rewrite a movie because you don't have your lead anymore.
Yeah, because your lead's gone. Yeah.
So, and even that movie still rocks.
I totally agree. I've seen people have, so many different varying levels of discussions about that movie, but I still think it's really great.
Listen, the biggest is, let's talk about, this isn't a superhero show. We're going to talk about it for 2 seconds. Just because it's important to talk about Coogler.
It is.
Look, the major thing is that the biggest issue for me, Wakanda Forever has, is it has to devote a lot of plot to creating a new Black Panther since they burned the plants in the first movie, which is not something that would have happened if T'Challa was still the main character. So they had to devote a lot of plot time to, we got to develop a plant to make a new Black Panther, because they couldn't ignore it. It was such a big scene in the first one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, and you're balancing that with the entire creation of Namor and the whole like underground city of Talocan. So it just feels like, oh, we're doing 2 origins at the same time. And it's, wow. I don't know what else you want him to do. He's got to do it somehow.
Gotta do it somehow.
Yeah.
Movie still rocks though.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, very excited. Was love seeing Coogler go and do something original.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people, when they kind of do the Marvel thing, and it's not Marvel's fault, but they do the Marvel thing, and they can kind of, now their next couple movies are also big, giant movies
Temples,
that are slightly in that range too. This is a big movie, but it's a big movie in a way that's still like an original story that's really trying something. The fact that it was about, it's a perfect example of like a horror movie in that it's almost one of those things like I'd want to watch the movie that doesn't even have the horror elements,
right?
Where it's all just about this blues musician
1000%
trying to get away from under the thumb of his dad and all this other stuff. But then when the horror elements come in, they rock.
I 1000%, to be totally honest with you, when I heard that Ryan Coogler was making an original film and it had to do a lot with like blues music and it was going to be like a period piece and all that stuff, I was excited for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, I can't wait to see a trailer. I can't wait to see what it looks like or how it sounds or how it feels, because you know it's going to hit you in an emotional level that is unexpected, because that's how I felt about Fruitvale. It's how I felt about Creed. That's how I felt about Black Panther. So I knew that it was going to be something special going into it.
Yeah.
And then kind of a bummer that the marketing kind of leaned into the horror elements and revealed some stuff. At the same time, it made me that much more excited to watch. Well,
I also wonder, there's something interesting to be said about marketing and spoilers. It's always funny to me that I feel like every 10 years, or even more frequent than that, someone will put out a tweet where it's like, trailers give away too much nowadays. I'm like, they always did.
They've always been.
Go watch a movie. Go watch any trailer from a movie from the 50s.
Yeah.
Where it's like, these two hate each other. When they fall in love and they show them kiss, it's like, they do.
Yeah.
Go see it.
Go see what else happens.
Yeah, there's other stuff. Don't worry about it. But they kiss. They fall in love. And trailers have always done that. And I think there's something interesting to be said too. Like, I feel like there was a study done, I'm pulling shit out of my, like there's a study I feel like 10 years ago that was like movies that, where the trailer gives more away or people kind of know what's going to happen. They'll complain, but the movie ends up doing better.
Yeah.
And people are
intrigued by what's going on.
Well, and also people complain less when they get out of it. Because I feel like a lot of times people who, this is a generalization, but I feel like people who tend to do I won't watch any trailer. I don't want to know anything. I want to go completely blind. They end up walking out of the movie going like, oh, I kind of wish the movie was this, and this. Because they didn't know what they were getting, which can sometimes be a lot of fun, but sometimes I think it also leads people to go like, I didn't know what was going to happen, and I thought it was this, then it wasn't. I was upset.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like with Sinners, I knew enough. I didn't know too much. I didn't know too little. I feel like I knew all the elements that were going to be kind of brewing on the screen for these like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And in most ways, I feel like it met me or exceeded me in what I was anticipating.
Yeah. And I mean, Coogler's openly talked about too, like From Dusk Till Dawn was a big influence.
Yeah.
The Faculty. So pulling from the Robert Rodriguez. Puss in Boots. So pulling from Robert Rodriguez and DreamWorks.
Great.
But yeah, I really had a great time. Michael B. Jordan was great. Even like having this actors playing two characters can sometimes be distracting in a movie. Kind of pull you out. Never did for me.
I was really impressed with Michael B. Jordan because he plays both of those roles so uniquely that at no point, and obviously they use costume designing and they use, other elements to let you know who each character is. One's got a blue hat, one's got a red hat. It foreshadows a lot of things and you're like, okay, I understand. But even so, the performances are so unique that not that I would forget, but I was just so engrossed by the performance that I just was like, yeah, it's Michael A. and Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, that's how real it felt.
It's also such a horny movie.
It's so horny.
It's so great to see.
It's so good.
A real horny movie that talks about giving a woman head. Yeah. In very graphic detail. In an age where it seems like even if kissing happens in a movie, a young generation is like, we didn't consent to see this.
I know. That's how it definitely feels. Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld Hawk 2s into Michael B. Jordan's mouth.
What
a move.
One of my biggest takeaways from the movie, and I think most of us have seen Haley Steinfeld grow up. And I think the most recent thing, and I know she's made other things, but the most recent thing I feel like I watched her in was Hawkeye. And that already came out in 2021. So it's already been 4 years, but she was like in her early 20s. Now she's like mid-ish 20s. And I'm watching this movie, I'm going like, this is great. I feel like it's great to see an actor who is evolving with their craft. And that also means evolving in the type of media that they themselves are in. Yeah. Something that's a little bit definitely more adult oriented and geared, something that's horror. I love that. And it made me so excited to just watch her on screen as an actor.
Yeah, no, it was great. And again, like I was in the theater with like not old, but older people, probably in their 50s, and they were digging it. They were in it.
Yeah, and when I saw the couple screenings I saw in IMAX and IMAX 70 millimeter, it was a varying degree of ages and
right
from the crowd, but yeah, everyone I feel like unanimously in all the screenings had an amazing time with it, which also, I think is great.
There's stuff in there too that's like so audacious. Like there's this scene, if you've seen the movie, the sequence.
Sorry, Lucas.
Have you not seen it?
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. I was going to say,
fine.
I'm like, God damn, brother, get on it, man. Leave, go right now.
Oh, nice. There you go.
The literal barn burning sequence.
Yeah.
Where he's playing music and it's a barn burner of a song. In the hands of other directors, we talked about in the last episode of Vinegar Syndrome and other companies we love. Other directors, that would be the funniest scene in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the scene where it's like, oh, this went off the tracks.
Yeah.
It's so audacious and it's so daring to try, and it works. I think for me, it really worked as this kind of really cool, interesting sequence and segment. And I was like, man, it's a ballsy move, and Coogler's good enough that it works.
You know, and that was an insane sequence to experience for the first time, because I'm loving the movie, everything that's happening. I'm loving it. Delroy Lindo, I'm like, more. And then we get to that sequence, and then you start to see all these characters from these different eras start popping up, and I went, oh no. Like I could feel my heart starting to beat faster because I was scared, because I thought, did we jump the shark here? Is this where the movie loses me completely? And then it starts going, and the camera's moving through different rooms, and we're meeting characters from the past and the present and the future.
You're seeing B-boys.
Yeah, you're like, you're seeing all, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And then the character hits the high note, and the roof comes off, and it burns off, and I'm going, this is amazing. Yeah. Like it just flipped a switch in my head, and the music, and I got so invested in it. And then the roof comes off, literally comes off the building, and they're dancing and he's singing. And then we cut back to the vampires from like behind them. And I'm going, oh no, I understand what movie I'm in. Vampires. I get it. We're in a completely like fictional fantasy, but so like beautifully crafted world that I'm in. I'm locked in.
Yeah.
So it was for that split second. I was like Luke Skywalker. I was like, is this bad? Am I gonna like now embrace something that I'm not supposed to embrace? But I loved it. And from that point, and every time since I've seen it, I'm like, this is incredible. The daringness that you're talking about, the audacity, but only a guy like Ryan Coogler can get away with that, because it has so much depth and meaning to it.
Oh yeah. And then the ending just rips.
Oh my God.
The Tommy gun scene.
It's so
good.
And it felt so good to be like, thank you.
Like, I don't know, state of the world and everything is in the reality of this world. It's kind of nice seeing white supremacists get gunned down. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a thought. I just want to talk about Jack O'Connell as the vampire, who's great.
Dude.
Like
so good.
It's that great balance of both like committing to a character, but also being like again, it's the Puss in Boots thing. Like committing enough to play like just a hair into cheese in the right way.
Yeah. That soundtrack is incredible.
Oh, it's a great soundtrack.
I play it all the time in the car ride. And I'm like, I just want to hear Jack O'Connell sing about Dublin. Let's go. Yeah. It's great. Kicking his leg up and shit. It was amazing.
It would have been very easy for that scene to be like, oh, this is the lame music. But it wasn't.
No. There were literally no notes. I have no notes. The music all hits so incredible, because that's very true. Because you would think like the movie is so focused on the main characters, on the hero characters, the protagonists, that, oh, maybe it's not going to be as strong, or maybe it won't come across as strong because it's not dealing with these characters. No, it like literally everyone fires on all cylinders. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So let's talk about, as everyone else has, the deals, the industry insider shit. That apparently studios are frightened. Ryan Coogler's going to ruin Hollywood with his deal that was similar to Quentin Tarantino's 5 years ago for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Everyone, relax, please.
Yeah, it's racism. Let's just call it as it is. It's crazy to me. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't talk about it. Like,
Sure.
there's something very cool about a director who's proven himself and being able to go like, well, this is what I want. And a big studio going like, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at Ryan Coogler's track record.
Yes.
Fruitvale Station, a really great indie hit, more or less, right?
Yes.
That what even gave him or afforded him the ability to be able to approach Sylvester Stallone to do Creed. Then he does Creed. I'm crying. Augustine's in the theater next to me crying. The audience is crying. Sylvester Stallone gets a Golden Globe nomination for it. You know, he wins.
And the Oscar nomination.
And the Oscar nomination. And he gets a ton of, you know, so it just, and then he proves himself again with Black Panther. So at this point, his 5th film that he's directed and written, yeah, man, let the guy have whatever he wants at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I look at him on the same level of like a Christopher Nolan, a Spielberg, just guys who really understand the stories that they want to tell, and all their stories coming from themselves.
Yes.
And I think that because they're so personal, and with something like Sinners, it being so tightly tied into his relationship with his uncle, and his uncle introducing him to blues music and jazz and vinyl and all this stuff. Yeah, like I feel like those movies, they're so good because he's so attached to them. And sometimes that can be a disservice when you're so attached to something that you're too precious about it. But I think Coogler is able to ride that line and never cross into like, oh, now it's too much of something, too serious or whatever.
Yeah.
He does a really great job making these movies that you can really connect to on all levels.
Yeah. So yeah, Sinners, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I feel like people have seen it though.
Yeah,
it's doing
I feel
very
like at this
well,
point,
which is fantastic.
But you know, like I know that they're really trying to do more re-releases, and just this past weekend they did another IMAX re-release. So I would say if those prints start to travel around the world and they start doing more showings at places that never had them, it's definitely worth it. Even if you have to drive an hour, I think it's worth the drive to go see it in whatever format is available.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So moving on to something a little bit different, but still fun. Final Destination Bloodlines,
Yeah.
part 6 of the series. After taking more than a decade off. It's been
I did not know that.
12,
yeah.
13 years since
Wow.
part 5, which I think you kind of see in this, because I think this is one that's made by fans
Mm-hmm.
to an extent.
Sure.
To that degree of like, oh, understanding what makes the Final Destination formula work,
Mhm.
bringing back Tony Todd, and having certain things that were not discussed in sequels discussed,
Mhm.
i.e., what are the rules of this? Oh, there was one person that survived, because like the character from part 2 who lived was never mentioned in 3, 4, and 5. So I think it takes a fan going like, well, that we never went back
Hanging
to that.
thread.
We never went back to that. We never went back to
Yeah.
that. Which can make it sound like this is a very plotty movie. It's not. Yeah, so we will get into, I guess, broad, and then we'll kind of spoil.
Yeah, for
get
sure.
a little bit into that. But yeah, we are back in the Final Destination world. If you know Final Destination, someone has a premonition, try and save everybody, and people start dying because death is like, oh, no,
No, you sneaky.
don't you dare. And so the difference here is, rather than it being an event that happens right away and then affecting those right after,
Right.
there's a giant time jump. We open in the 60s, and a woman has a premonition and saves everybody, which is also different than most Final Destination movies, where it's like, oh, they'll save like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And those are the people we see throughout the movie who are going to get iced. This is, she saves everybody from the event, and it is then jumps ahead to now, and it's the generations of people who were born from those people who are getting slowly taken out.
Yeah, so it causes like this huge ripple effect where everyone who was supposed to be offed is now not, and now we're creating multiple generations of people. So now death is like, well, I got to clip all these threads off,
Yes.
and I'm going to do it in the most vicious way possible.
So it's great. It's super violent.
It is.
There's a lot of glass.
Yeah. Spin glass at your ass.
And yeah, if you love Final Destination, there's a lot of great callbacks. R.I.P. Tony Todd, who's great.
So
Who
good.
they give him a little bit more. It seems like a thing where everyone knew. He knew, obviously. I think. And so the scene has a little bit more reverence to it, but also having it be like, oh, he's kind of tied into this whole thing in a way. And then also having it be that his character has an exit.
Yeah.
So that we're not sitting there, if there is a part 7, being
Right.
like, well, how are they going to explain that this character isn't here? They do in this one.
Right. And this is not a spoiler, but I read a quick little bite from, I think it was from the directors, or I'm not sure who it was from, but I guess they wrote very little dialogue for him. and they let him kind of run with whatever felt the most natural to him as that character, to kind of have like a closing closure with the character in a lot of ways. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. Because I truthfully, admittedly, I've seen most of the Final Destination movies, but I don't remember all of the specific like plot points of all of them. Like the deaths, obviously more so than most, because
I
they're
think
iconic.
I think most people, they think about the Final Destination movies tend to be part 1 is the plane, part 2 is the freeway,
Right.
3 is the roller coaster, 4 is the racetrack, and 5 is the bridge.
Yeah.
And so now this is a Sky Needle, essentially. Which I'll say this: don't get me wrong, I really dug this movie. I could have seen a whole thing take place in the 60s.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a part of me that's like, well, here's how, almost do the Predator thing of like, just do Final Destination in different timelines.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, it's so funny that you mentioned the fan of it all, because as we sort of become close, more and more disconnected from like the start of these franchises, the filmmakers are now aging up, and we're kind of in this era where people are making fan films, kind of.
Well, you're also
ways,
seeing
right?
the difference too, is you're also seeing that in the critical reception.
Yeah.
Whereas horror movies, when we were growing up, you know, critics were still, and there's also this kind of anti-critic thing that I'm not on board with. But critics on horror movies tended to be like, if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes for the first and second one, it's like 50%, where most horror movies tend to fall.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is gory and it's just a freak show and this and the other, blah, blah. But as these series have gone on and people have aged, now critics are people who were fans when they were kids.
Yep.
And so now you start seeing where it's like a latter day sequel is like, oh, critics love it. And it's like, well, that's because you're getting critics who were teenagers when the first one came out.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is great. This series is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the big thing I noticed too, with when you see a lot of these sequels or requels or whatever being made. You know, we were talking about the Predator movies and Prey and all that stuff is now being made by fans. And sometimes that's a really great thing because Prey is awesome. This movie was awesome. Sometimes that's really kind of a detriment to the franchise. You know, you think of things like, and to varying degrees, I enjoy them, but Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, you know, it's like maybe you're too tied.
I'm an Ends defender in this household.
I actually like Ends too.
Yeah. I'm a big Ends head.
Yeah, I liked it too.
But no, I agree with you. But let's dive in a little deeper. What was your favorite death?
Spoilies. My favorite death? Oh man, I don't know. That's a really tough one. You know, I did have a lot of fun with the backyard grill. That seems like it's going oh so well. And then the uncle steps on the glass and then gets completely taken out by the lawnmower, just zipped to death. That was really fun.
I think for me, it's the little kid getting annihilated by the piano.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Ruthless.
They do a great job in the first act of really building up these characters who, like in that first premonition chunk, you want to see get it, and they get it. They get it real good.
They do.
The old man in the elevator.
Oh my God. Yes, I forgot about that. I changed my mind. I think that one was my favorite. Just completely just broken in half.
That's the difference. Like something like Sinners, when characters die, you're like, no, I like that guy.
It's
something like this. The gorier the death, the bloodier. A lot of crushing deaths in this one.
A lot, yeah.
Which honestly, to me, we might have to do a top 5 once we do the whole series. We're talking about doing a whole series recap once this comes out on a Blu-ray digital.
Yeah.
We might have to do the top 5 deaths.
We should.
But there's 1 or 2 in this that I'm like, it might, because they're slow. That's the difference. The elevator wasn't slow. Piano's not slow.
Yeah.
But like garbage truck.
Yeah.
There is a difference between like, you know, the people who get like a giant thing falls on them. I'm like, that's pretty instantaneous.
Yeah.
You might not have felt anything.
But the slow, painful,
crush
torturous death.
The wheelchair one. That's also slow. You're feeling your bones break.
Or even in the moment in the tattoo parlor where you think one of the characters is going to get offed. Yeah. And just things are slowly happening. And I'm sitting there going, oh, it hurts. It all hurts. It looks painful.
I think so here's the question though, is there anything in this for you that has created a new phobia? I feel like our generation is now scared to death of driving behind trucks with logs. Or trucks with general items.
Well, and I feel like that's a funny thing to bring up about those movies because that's the feeling that I get every time someone watches that and you see something like that. Final Destination, Final Destination, Final Destination.
Yep.
And I honestly can't. I don't know if there is one in this movie for me.
I think there might. It didn't lead. it technically led to a death, but honestly, it was, and it's in the trailers, is the glass in the ice cube.
Yeah, I mean that one. I think it's because
As
also
someone who enjoys a nice whiskey at a bar,
yeah.
I'm like, God damn.
That's true. I think also a big part of why that one also seems to me, it's so weird to say with a franchise that is like so over the top, but that one seems the most likely to happen.
Yes.
Right? Because some of the other ones you're like, well, I don't know how often I'm going to be going to get a scan, or I don't know how often I'm going to be, trying to run into an elevator while a building is collapsing. I think that one is the most likely to happen.
Because that's also hoping too
horrifying.
that a bartender at your bar is good at cleaning. And I've been to some bars. I don't know about that, Jack. I don't know if a glass breaks, you're going to be really thorough.
Yeah, right.
So.
Because I've had that actually happen at a few places where I'll be sitting at a bar and a glass breaks and they've dumped the entire ice bin because they're like,
yeah,
I can't, because you don't know. You just, unless it's clearly obvious like it is in the movie, you don't know.
And we're coming off of the weekend just ended. Had a great weekend.
Oh, good.
We're not usually going to talk about box office on the show, but want to celebrate wins, and when horror does very well.
Yeah.
Box office doesn't equal quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with something like Sinners, where people are going back again and again and again, it usually is a
4 or 5
good
times,
indication of quality. And the fact that this one's doing really well, people seem to really be digging it. John Watts, I guess, was involved.
Yeah, a producer, and I think he had a writing credit on story.
Something like that. Yeah.
So that's really cool.
So yeah, super fun one. I'm very excited to see if they do a part 7, which I'm guessing by the box office they probably will.
I hope so, yeah.
The interesting thing will be, the thing about the Final Destination films outside of part 2 is usually you're starting with an entire new group. So the first act is always like, here's the thing, and then they have to discover, and someone has to be like, death's not coming for us, you're crazy. And then everyone's like, I'm telling you, I swear, I had a dream. And then and that sometimes it can be when watching a series after the initial deaths, you kind of want to get through the first act where the main character who had the premonition is like, I promise.
Yeah.
So the fact that nobody lived in this one,
right,
we're going to have to get through with big spoilers there. We're going to have to get to like number 7 where a whole new batch of characters are going to have to experience something, and one of them's going to be like, I swear to God, I had a dream.
Well, that makes me happy and excited because sometimes you never know with where these like franchise sequels are going to go. Yeah. They could go either, they're either going to be really, really great and you're going to be surprised by it, or you're going to be like, oh, why did they make another one of these? So I'm happy to hear that it's doing really well. I mean, the audience, we were lucky enough that we got to go to IMAX headquarters for an early screening. That audience was into the movie. And I mean, to me, that's the type of audience that because those were not critics. Those were not influence. Some of them were.
Some were.
But a lot of the people in there seemed like they were reached out to by IMAX. Like, hey, we're doing a screen of Final Destination. If you want to try to see it early, come and see it. Everyone was into it. So it made me excited to go watch it again, too, because my girlfriend wants to see it. And I'm really curious to see how general audiences just at a regular plain old theater react to it. I think the reactions are going to be really good.
I don't think my girlfriend wants to see this.
No?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Because it is one of those movies that's like, yeah, there's gore in it, but it is also so fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. No, I think if I were to get her, I'd probably get her into a theater.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be the same at home.
Yeah.
No, she'd need the crowd reaction. But outside of that, also the State of Horror, Last of Us. We're having, 1-2 more episodes?
As of this recording, they just aired the penultimate episode. So next Sunday is the last one of the season.
And you're diving deeper on Heroes Reforged. You're doing watch-alongs.
Yeah, we're doing reactions every single week. We've got the uncuts and the YouTube cutdowns. And it's been an interesting season. And this has kind of been the case with a lot of stuff. And we talked about it briefly off camera before we started recording. And
we might do a wider review once the season is over. Yeah,
and I think the interesting thing is also the state of social media has also drastically changed how we talk about these projects.
Yes.
Especially with Twitter, with the way Twitter has gone. Because season 1 came out January 2023, and everybody was talking about that show nonstop every single week.
Especially the Monday after the airing.
Absolutely. And the same thing was the case with Andor, which I know is not related to The Last of Us, but just talking about, or just being an observer of how people are talking about season 2 of Andor and The Last of Us, it's very much similar, that there's not a ton of people talking about both, but you'll find pockets of people talking about it. But it's not like on a grand scale like it was with season 1.
And it might be worth saying it's always about on social media who you follow. It's also worth saying There was a big mass exodus on X after a certain election. I was one of the people who also did that. So there is also that to a degree of, where people are talking about these things. But it's very interesting to see. I feel how muted the response has been.
Yeah. And the people
which doesn't speak to quality, I want to say, but
and the people who are talking about it, they seem to be generally pretty positive on it. I will say, and this goes for, like anything that's part of a franchise or was a video game or a comic book or whatever. Sometimes those crowds can be real tough to talk to about these things. And I am someone who did not play The Last of Us, either of the games. Yeah. So I don't know the story. I don't really know what happens. And some of the things are a surprise to me. And some people are like, how do you not even know through like pop culture osmosis? I'm like, I don't engage with those groups for no reason other than I'm so focused on superhero stuff that I know people who've played the games. I've never sat down and have a full conversation with anybody about the Last of Us video game.
Whereas I played the game and I tried to do an all punch run, which was like not be stealth at all and just try and punch everything. It did not go well, but I had a great time. Yeah, I did play the games. I love those games, but I am also a gamer. There's often that discussion of like, this video game's gonna make you cry. You're gonna cry, and I would love to be able to do that. The problem is I'm in control of the character, and so I will run through a level, punching everything, and then it'll cut to a cutscene where it's very emotional, and so I just have that dissonance because I'm not bad. I beat the game, but I'm a shitty player for the sake of the story that I'm trying to tell, which is making Joel a madman who's going to run punch everything. So that creates a dissonance. But no, I think that's also going to be part of our discussion once the season wraps up, which is someone who played the games, someone who did not play the games. And we'll see about maybe even getting a guest in here. Just to kind of see what they think. But I have not watched any of it yet. My plan was to kind of, I did do week to week with some friends. My Sundays lately have been a little busy. So my plan is like, and I don't usually do this. I like the week to week watching, but I think on this one, I was like, you know what? Let me get it all in. Yeah. Let me take a day.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting conversation that we can also have when the show is over. But the way that people are talking about these things when they are a week to week release versus a chunk of episodes or the whole season at once. Because a lot of the times, the way that I am consuming a lot of these shows is I'm getting early screeners. Right. I'm watching it like if it was a one drop type of a show. Like with Andor, I watched all 12 episodes in 2 days. With The Last of Us, I watched the first episode, and then I got episodes 2 through 6, and now I have the 7th episode. So it's I have a little bit of like a little bit of a different experience watching it. So I feel like it automatically maybe changes my relationship to the show also, because I am just going through the whole thing. Right. And I'm getting all the emotion at once. Whereas someone who's going week to week, they're like, okay, move it along. Let's get through it. So I am interested to have that conversation about the show because I really am enjoying the second season so far.
Yeah. I like I said, like I'm not seeing much conversation, but the conversation I'm seeing for the most part, people are positive.
Digging it. Yeah.
But outside of that, any other horror TV we're thinking of?
I'm finally getting through the Exorcist TV show from 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's great. Have you seen it?
I have. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I want to say I like season 1 more than season 2 so far, but I haven't finished season 2 yet.
I feel like that's generally
not that people consensus
don't like season 2, but
I mean I still like season 2, but I feel like the strongest elements so far have been in season 1.
Well, season 1 you have Gina Davis, as Reagan, which is great. And for a show that was going to be airing, and it did air on Fox. I think a lot of people were like, and this was like even 10 years ago, people were like, feels like that should be on a bigger,
right?
The Exorcist is so like R-rated and this, that, and the other, but it still works. It still generally works. I really dig that show.
Yeah, so that I would say on a streaming TV level, I think as far as I can recall, that's the only thing that other thing that I'm watching right now.
Yeah, because I think we're so I looked up as far as like what's coming down the road, and so we know Stranger Things 5 at some point. Yeah. So I'm obviously excited about that. Have not left the Stranger Things bandwagon. They're great. I have a fun time watching them.
I'm behind.
You're behind.
I have not seen the previous season.
Ooh. My. We used to do back in the day I think Lucas, you were in one of those, like season 2. We did a watch along.
Yeah. Season 1 and 2, I think.
We did a watch along season 1 at Geek and Sundry, and then 2 we did at Hyper.
That's right.
And then 3 was 4th of July. We didn't do a watch along.
No.
And then 4th was pandemic.
Ah, yes.
So
and that was like when they released
they broke it into
halves
2
of the season. Yeah.
Which, listen, I think that for me goes along with the whole idea of like splitting things up, because I feel like that kept the conversation going longer.
Yeah.
On season 4.
Totally.
Because people were like, "What's going to happen next?"
Right.
So we know that's coming at some point. As far as film, for the summer, I know what you did last summer.
I am kind of foolishly, stupidly looking forward to that.
I'm very interested. Where do you land on I know what you did last summer?
The first one?
Yeah.
I just rewatched the 4K remaster maybe like 4 months ago, and I still had a really fun time with it.
I like it. It's not Scream. It doesn't quite hit, but I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I am very interested on how they're going to, by bringing back Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. And having that scene in the trailer, which maybe, it's not in the movie, but they're like, "You need to help us." I'm like, I don't know. It's not Scream where it's like, oh, it's probably someone connected to Sydney. Here's the connection. That's why you have to go back to Sydney. You have to go back to these people. For someone, it's like, you need to help us to be like, it's probably not the same guy.
Right.
We just hit a guy with a truck. And that was 25 years ago. I don't know.
I know. That's the only thing.
There's not quite a boogeyman. I mean, he's a boogeyman, but he's not like supernatural.
Really. Yeah. So
he's not Freddy Krueger.
No, and I think that's one of the elements of going into the movie that I'm like, okay, cool, but like, is this going to be enough for me to be excited to see these characters back again?
Yeah.
And am I going to care about these new characters enough if you're just retreading the similar plot from the first film?
And that's sort of the stuff I'm thinking about, where I'm kind of like, how you gonna, and not like in a like cynical, cross my arms, like impress me kind of way, but in a way where I'm like, what? How is this gonna do?
Because truthfully, like, I know what you did last summer. It's not Halloween. It's not Friday. It's not any of those movies. It's not Scream, like you said.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have like a huge bar to clear.
No.
But I'm still going, but that one was really fun and silly. What is this? Is this going to try to be too serious? And what is it going to do that's different and interesting? I don't know.
But I mean, yeah, we'll see it.
Yeah.
Weapons.
Oh, Zack Cregger?
New movie.
Yeah.
Looks real good.
That teaser was
sick.
Really cool.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
Very excited. I love Barbarian. Barbarian was one of my favorite movie going experiences in the last couple of years.
I didn't get to see that in the theater, sadly. And I think it would have changed my perspective or changed my opinion of the film. Because I think watching it at home, I was like, it was good. It was good.
Oh, man.
And I think in the theater, I would have been like, oh, that was really good.
Well, watching in the theater, you hear a whole crowd reacting.
Yeah.
And you also have that element of just like, what's going to happen next?
Because I would imagine I watched the first Omen.
Oh.
And I wasn't expecting much from it. And I saw it in theater and I was like, this was surprisingly great.
Yes.
And I imagine that a movie like that, if I would have just watched it on Hulu, I would have been like, eh.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's one of those elements. It's one of those, something about seeing movies at home versus seeing it with an audience.
Yeah.
I'm still pretty much able to, I mean, obviously it's not the same experience, but being able to watch a horror movie at home and be able to kind of be like, cool, kind of a thing. Together is also coming this summer. The Alison, Brie, Dave Franco.
Oh, yeah.
They start maybe Lovecraftian.
Seems like it.
They start folding into each other, literally.
Yeah.
Which looks pretty sick. And then the one I'm probably the most excited about, the Toxic Avenger remake with Peter Dinklage.
I've never seen Toxic Avenger.
Oh, that should have been the homework. I missed that.
Now you know.
Now I have.
Now you know.
I have your next homework. I would not watch that with your girlfriend.
Okay. All right.
Or do, and let us know how it goes.
Are we still together?
I think you'll still be together.
Okay.
I would just love to hear her response.
Okay.
No, the trauma movies, that's a whole other element of the horror world.
Yeah.
Is trauma. But yeah, the Toxic Avenger remake, which I guess is going out with no rating.
Really? Yeah, because hasn't it been made for some time now, and they've been just trying to figure out the distribution end of it?
It's been made for some time, and some people were saying it was unreleasable and this, that, and the other, but I'm wondering if that means the violent element of it.
Right. Kind of like a Terrifier.
Well, Toxic Avenger as a series is known for being real gross. Real gross.
I'm in.
And I love them. So I'm very excited to kind of see what this remake or reimagining or whatever you want to call it consists of.
Yeah.
So it's like, even though Zack Cregger's Weapons is out there and I'm looking forward to that, my Toxic Avenger
Number one with
remake
Bullet?
is up there. I'm very excited for it. With Elijah Wood playing a little freak.
Really?
Yet again.
All right.
A real stretch.
No, I mean,
A real stretch for Elijah being in a horror movie playing a little freaky boy.
yeah. Damn. It just sounds like I have a lot of homework to do between all the Final Destinations, the Toxic Avenger series.
If you had to choose right now.
To watch one?
Yeah.
Toxic Avenger, maybe?
Oh, yeah, dude. That's what's up, brother.
Based on the description, it sounds really freaky deaky, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
Oh yeah, there's a guy. I mean, the name's right there. He gets dropped in toxic waste and his skin's bubbling. But
Beautiful.
It's made on 80s low budget.
Beautiful.
It's so good. But yeah, so I think that's where kind of things are at right now with the world of horror. Video game wise, the new Doom came out. If you're a big Doom fan, I love the Doom games.
Nice.
They're fun. They're very heavy metal. You know, he fights demons in hell. That's horror, baby. It's just the tongue is perfectly firmed in that cheek. It's great. It's a great old time.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to the Camp Crystal Lake series?
Yes, not. I was stupid excited when it was Brian Fuller.
Yeah.
Because I love Hannibal.
Yeah.
When Brian Fuller left, obviously there's a degree of like, That said, I'm still excited. The casting of Linda Cardellini as Pamela Voorhees is very good. I'm excited to see where it goes. There's always just going to be that question of what if, you know, as always.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'll do my best not to judge it unfairly.
Yeah.
Like if something doesn't work for me, I'm not going to be like, Brian Fuller would never. You know, it's just going to be like, oh, okay, that part didn't work. But, as someone who watched all of Bates Motel, of course I'm going to watch the Crystal Lake series.
Yeah. I think the thing that
I like Bates Motel. That's not me trying to be like.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm really interested to discover, I guess, through the show is how do you make that show last long enough to keep it interesting? Well,
that's the question. But again, Brian Fuller's not doing it anymore, but they did it with Hannibal.
True.
They were able to do 2 full seasons before they got to Red Dragon. Have you seen Hannibal?
No.
Brother.
I know.
Man, I don't want to give you an assignment that's an entire TV series.
I mean,
but
Cameron,
it might have to happen.
We might as well just do all these for Patreon, or I'll do them on my own if I have to. Whatever I got to do.
So we got a Discord. Like, do some watch-alongs. Hannibal rips.
Yeah.
As a show. It's so good.
I've seen clips from it. I've not seen the whole series. I may have seen like an episode here and there, but I've seen clips of it. I've seen snippets of it. And I mean, Mads Mikkelsen, I don't know what else.
And let me tell you, human body never looked more delicious. And I don't mean Mads, I mean him cooking people.
Yeah.
Mads looks also very good.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great looking guy. So I'm like, I'm convinced I need to watch it. So
So we're just making a list. We're making a list of so we're going to do Toxic Avenger followed by the entirety of Hannibal.
And then the Final Destination series.
We got time. We got time. That's the great thing about horror. There's always more.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Again, I mentioned in the last episode, but that's why I'm so excited to do this podcast is because it's giving me and I don't need a reason, but it's always when it deals with like time, I need to reserve time for stuff. But now having a must watch reason is because of this podcast is great. So I'm all in.
But if there's anything else you think we should watch, please, gloriousnightmarespod@gmail.com or on the Instagram or get on that Patreon. You can join us in the Discord and things of that nature. And we're going to start assigning some deaths. That'll also help you. That's the other thing. Homework will really help you get some death ideas.
Be very creative in my deaths. Yeah. And give me an excuse to think of something very unique and different.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, looking forward to that. But guys, yes, of course, check out our Discord, check out everything else, subscribe, leave a review, let us know how you're liking the show. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Thank you, Frog City.